André Kishimoto es maestro en ingeniería eléctrica, tiene su grado en computación, que acá hablamos informática, es especialista en computación gráfica, ahora es desarrollador de juegos profesional desde 2005 y profesor desde 2009 en cursos de ciencia de la computación, desarrollo de juegos. Es líder tecnológico de Central Tecnológica Group, que está en Electronic Arts Brasil. Ha desarrollado juegos y tecnología para múltiples plataformas, como Nintendo Switch, Windows, macOS, Linux, iOS, Android, Java Mobile y muchas otras cosas. Así que André va a hacer su presentación en inglés, pero si quieren hacer las preguntas en portugués o inglés o español, nos cargamos de hacer la comunicación bien. ¿Ok? Andrea, por favor, tiene la palabra. Gracias por estar acá.
Okay, hello. Perdón, pero mi español no es muy bueno, así que para mí es mejor hablar en inglés. So, okay, let me share my screen here. Okay. Okay, everything is okay, I guess. Yes, right? So, well, here's some thoughts I'd like to present today. This first part, I'm going to talk a little bit fast because I want to show some examples plus ideas about this topic for one-button games, right? Okay, so this is something I always try to show to my students in digital games development courses. So here, this is something like, as I see it, for when we talk about not only video games, but also computers. It's like a communication, right, between humans and machines. So this is the basic data processing flow chart, right? Input, process, and output. And I always try to make this this comparison with game design, in that we, for us, the input as players, we use these input devices like keyboard, mouse, gamepad, or joystick, and something like that. The processing game part is the game itself, and our output is basically the audio visual for the game. So, and when we have to use an input device to play something, nowadays, right? Professor Kasiki showed a different platform for mobile touchscreen. With we usually don't have these many actions for mapped to buttons, but this is something a common setup for current games, right? Either on PC or on consoles. And this is something that I sometimes I think about when I have to develop some game project. That can we really do we really have to use all this stuff? Some titles, yes. There's not much way to simplify the input, the game input, but sometimes we don't have to have all these actions, or we have to, okay, I'll have to add this specific button or specific action because everybody does. No, right? It's not really necessary, depending on the project we are working on. So something that I show to my students is this idea that we should think about different type of games in that we can simplify the input for the player. So instead of talking to computers with these many buttons, why not using only one button, right? So this one, I don't know, I cannot see my video. Okay, this picture I brought here. It's a little bit different. This picture I took before I added something here. I'll talk about that, this device later. But the idea is this, right? I have only one button and I have to use only this input device for the whole game. So what I wrote here is that players talk with the computer, with the game, using only this big red button here. So why did I decide to think about that, or to write about that, and to talk with my students about this one button game talk? My main motivation, original motivation, was the challenge that this kind of game provide to us, because we have restrictions about the interaction. And for us game developers, specifically for game design, level design, and the person who will code the game, there are many challenges, right? Because you have different styles of games, genres, that you have to use different inputs. And now, how can I do everything with only one button? And for the player as well, there are some challenges, right? Because you have to play something that maybe you are not used to play that much. Yeah, but then there's also, when we think about or when we search about one button games, something that we always see is this topic of accessibility and inclusive technology. So I won't go into details about this stack, but it's something that I always show to my students, because hey, it's something that maybe for games, commercial games, sometimes we don't put much effort to think about this kind of technology, and that we should, right, think more about embracing different technologies and putting the games for everybody who wants to play our games. So this is something that we should think more when we develop our games, right? So this is a few examples of different devices that are adapted, or this one is I believe this is the first commercial one, or at least from a big company, that is specific for accessibility, right, inputs. And the Microsoft, it has a how can I say, some guidelines about these topics about accessibility and inclusive, that when I was researching about one button games, I found this document that I thought it was really eye-opening, mind-opening, because as a game developer, I never really thought that much about, hey, if I'm going to create a game that is there's too much visual, what happens for people who are blind, cannot see, or have maybe like this temporary issue or something like that. So this is something that as a game developer for commercial projects, it's something that we usually don't see that much. And this is something that I really think I talk with my students about that. When we we think about our game, we write our game design, why not have right these talks in mind? So where can we develop games, one-button games? Actually, in any platform, right? So even if it's a device with a touchscreen, such as the smartphone, iPad, and tablets, we can think of the whole screen as one giant button, right? But there's one specific thing here, right? When we see the screen, but you in your game you say, okay, I have to divide the screen between left and right, and so the player will need to touch left and touch the right part of the screen. In this case, we don't say it's one button only, because it's two different parts acting as two different actions or different buttons. So these for touchscreen games, we say that if you want to develop a one-button game for touchscreen, consider that the whole screen is your button, right? Nothing too much specific on one specific location of your screen. And how can we do that? So here I listed a few actions that I also like to say that these actions are like verbs that we use to talk to the game. So everything here, like play, stop, the character will walk or will start running and something like that. Everything is going to be triggered by this one button. And the idea is this one button for almost everything, almost because we have some exceptions, such as maybe you have to pause the game, you have to go back to the main menu, or you have to close the game. So these kind of actions, we say it can be an exception because it's not necessarily directly related to the game itself, to the gameplay itself. So there are a few exceptions to the rule, but the main actions inside the game are for this only one button. So the key points here when we start developing this kind of games, first one, context. We have to know what's happened in the game, so we can decide if I push the button, what happens due to what I'm doing in the game, or if my game character is in front of a place, I do some action. If the character is in another place, I do another action, and so on. This is a challenge for the level designers because we have to deal with these many different actions and places where the action is occurring. So we work a lot with triggers and colliders, so we know what action we are going to trigger with the button. And the feedback is very important because since we are only using one button, the player needs to know what's happening. If he or she wants to do something in the game, we have to provide feedback that he or she they really used the correct input. Also, since we don't have the input for left, right, or for walking, the movement of the game character, usually the games, if there are some character moving on screen, it's going to be automatic, and we have to adjust the speed of not only the character but of every object that appears on screen or for the game. And this is also related to the different difficult levels that we add to the game, as well as adjustments according to the player, to the target player that we are going to publish the game for, right? And here are some games, commercial games that use this kind of input, one button on input. So Cannabalt, I'm going to only pass the slides here. This one is one thing that we can notice about these examples is that even though the game uses only one button for everything, they are not very accessible because, for instance, this game that we are seeing the screenshot here, you control two different characters, one on the top side of the screen and the other at the bottom, and it really gives the brain some how can I say, it's like a bug in the brain because you have to press the space key for one character to dash, the other one will stop walking, and if you release the space key, the actions of each character will change and so on. So this is not a very easy game to play. And this one is another example as well. It's most of these games, since they are the player movements are automatic, we say that it follows the style of infinite runner, or not infinite, but it's kind of runner because you don't have to keep pressing a button to make the character move on the screen. You simply have to press the button to jump, to maybe to fly, to things like that. And this other game here is more of a rhythm game, musical game, and it's the same idea. You have here the heartbeats going through this line, and at the correct moment you have to the correct timing you have to press the space key, right? And this one I wrote here the lead programmer and the person who do the UX for this game is from Peru. His name is Giacomo Preciados, if I'm not wrong. I met him in one event here in São Paulo, Brazil, where they were in a context for best audio game. Right? So these are a few examples of games that use this kind of one-button mechanics. Flatbird, I think, is one example that many people know, at least have heard about this game. And for more information about all these topics, I listed a few websites that reference that I used for this presentation, as well as for developing a few games. And now what I'd like to play is a few examples. And run the game. Let me show the screen again. Okay. Can you see the screen? It's a bar passing between English or Portuguese. Okay, I think it's right. So I'm going to use this button to select the language. Oops, where is the? Oh, okay, here. Sorry. No. Okay. So I have to play to dance. This is a joke, right? The character is B for button. Okay. These are for us to think about when we develop games using only one button. So this first one is whenever I use the switch, the character will change from left to right. And this is an example of, it's not a game per se, but just to give you some ideas of what we could do with this kind of input, right? So there are a lot of examples. So I'm going to be a little bit fast here because I think my time is already over. So this is the walkie where I can go left to right. So here I have to avoid fields. Otherwise, I'm going to reset again. The toggle walk, you are so here I have two obstacles, enemies that I have to stop walking, then walk to continue the game. The other one, jump, is a simple jump. Whenever I play this button, and here is this on example of jumping this little square. This example that whenever the player is in the air, I can double jump. This one, some game, I can jump, double jump, and the stomp is like a attack. You can do this slide down. There are places in this on the screen that I can trigger the slide. And I'm going behind. There are in this on the screen that I can also the screen large part of the game. Here let me go back here. These arrows pointing down are the triggers that whenever with this trigger, the actor the left to right. Okay, stars. Where I use the button.
André, me escuta?
Hello? Oi?
André, a sua apresentação estava cortando um pouco.
Acho que eu caí.
Uhum. Sim, você consegue abrir a câmera já?
Oi? Oi? Voltou? Eu fui desconectado.
Sim, você foi desconectado, né? Você conseguiu voltar? Você consegue abrir a sua tela? Você me ouve? Acho que sim, agora o professor André já voltou. Já estamos de novo com o André. André, has terminado? Você terminou a apresentação? Ou...
The connection dropped.
Ok, se queres...
Okay, can I? I'm going
seguir.
to. Okay, so my screen is on now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, sorry about my connection is a little bit bad here. So this one is the same, right? We have these triggers that we can go up and down for the stairs. So it's another idea here. Okay, let me pass. This one is very much like Flatbird. You can fly. I'll show you layer. This is an interesting one because layer you can, in this example, you switch layers. So the enemy, for instance, cannot see our main character. And if I'm in the same layer as the enemy will catch me. So this is an example. Pick up item. You simply use the button when the player is in the item on the item. Okay. Attack is like here is a gun. You are firing a gun. Bomb is the same thing. If you're using an action, developing an action game, you can do something like that. And shield is the opposite. You activate a shield, and here we have a cooldown. So the player, when the other character now for one of the examples. So I have to smash my enemies here using, again, only this button. Moving bar, I think it's very useful for sports game where you can change the angle and the force applied to something like that. This is, I think it's very common for a sports game. This one, top view, rotate. Little bit like Snake, but you only go, in this example, only turn right. You can use this concept for choosing a menu option. In this example, it's only resetting the scene. And here, almost all in one, it's like a level I created showing part of this these previous examples. So here, yeah, I didn't. But if I press the debug mode on again, you can see that we have all these triggers for the whole level. So we can do different things. And you can see that I always colliding with the level, and that we reset the level, but this is something that we should adjust, test and adjust. So here I cannot open the door because I don't have the key, that I would have to go upstairs to get the key. So this is, okay, I'm going to close this. This is some ideas that I wanted to share with you. And okay, so the key takeaways, it's like we can use one button for almost everything, and our in-game actions are based on the context. So we have to work with lab design and the triggers or colliders. The feedback for the player is very important. So they know what they are doing in the game if the input was processed correctly. And for accessible and inclusive games, you have to really test everything from your game and make adjustments according to the player ability. And here we only talk about one application that you use only one button instead of many actions mapped in different buttons. Okay. Yes, the bonus here is how I created this input device. It's just a broken, at least for the movement, a broken mouse that I teared it apart and added this arcade button here for the mouse. So every time I click on this button, is like the right mouse button. So I map it here. I mapped this switch to the right mouse button. The movement was broken, so I'm going to recycle this hardware. And something that I always like to share with my students is I put here as a homework to watch this video. It's a really, really nice video for us to understand why it's good to think about accessibility and inclusive technology, right? So I think that's it for today. Okay. I'd like to thank you, everybody, Professora Valeria, for the invitation.